Well, Skip, this is the reason why the Rams made all these off-season and in-season additions. You trade 2 first-round picks and your quarterback that have previously led you to a Super Bowl in Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. You go out and you give a second-round pick for Von Miller, who's played great football in big, meaningful football games. Go back to the AFC Championship game against the Patriots. Go back and look at Super Bowl 50 against Cam Newton. So, and last week was his best game as a Ram. You saw what he did on a Monday night against the Arizona Cardinals. Odell Beckham Jr. seemed to have found new life since he's come to L.A. 6 touchdowns in 9 games. All of Cleveland Brown receivers all of last year had 7 touchdowns in a 17-game season. So seemingly, this is why you did what you did in order for moments like this, Skip. And you need in a game like this, your superstars. Yeah, you might have a guy make a catch here or there, but your superstars need to shine bright. In a game like this, I love the matchup with the Rams defense against the Bucs offense because I believe they can generate pressure, especially if Tristan Wirth isn't 100%, especially if Ryan Jensen, the center. They have 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen, Skip. And the thing that Tom Brady, they've done really well for Tom is shoring it up so he gets off his first read. Tom is trying to go to his first read, get the ball out of his hand quick, let you make plays. But this is where Aaron Donald, this is where Leonard Floyd, this is where Von Miller is going to earn their paydays in a game like this. I like to be D-tackle inside games, being able to collapse the pocket. Because unlike most quarterbacks, Skip, you generate the pressure around the edges. Tom Brady, you need to collapse the pocket, sit it in his lap, because you want him to move one side or the other, go left or go right. But we're trying to get you out of that phone booth. We're trying to get you out of that comfort zone in which you can just stand, step, and throw the football. Skip, this is a game Odell is going to get man coverage because I believe they're going to pressure him somewhat. Now, even though Matthew Stafford has been great against pressure, he's also had a propensity late in the season to turn the ball over. This is a game, and I expect Odell, and we're going to talk about Odell a little later in length, but I expect Odell to have a big game because I believe they're going to single him up and says, you know what, we like Carlton Davis or we like a Jamel Dean one-on-one against Odell, and we're going to bring pressure, and we're going to try to get Matthew Stafford. So with all that being said, Skip, I got the Rams winning a very close ball game. I believe it's going to be high scoring, and I'm going to say their Pro Bowl kicker walks it off. I'm going to go 30-27, Rams in an upset.
Okay, off the top, I disagree with you about high score. I got a much lower score. I'll get to it in just a moment. But Shannon Sharpe, the Hall of Famer that you are, even though I have now built a 3rd swimming pool in my backyard for all my Diet Mountain Dew, this time, in this case, with my man, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., the one man in sports I do not bet against. You do have my back up against the Brady wall because even though they do have Brady, and even though I believe he will play as well as he can, you know and I know what happens when number 12 has little to no time to throw. You know and I know what happens to that 44-year-old quarterback when he is under duress from all sides. He's never been the most mobile quarterback, even though I've made the case to you this year that he seems to be even faster than ever when he breaks away and actually runs for 4 yards up the field. But in this case, I'm afraid he's going to have nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. I do not love this matchup for Brady. And it starts with his right tackle, and the injury god said, let there not be Tristan Wirfs. NFL Network is now reporting that Tristan Wirfs is a long shot to play on Sunday. That means that his backup almost certainly will have to play. His name is Josh Wells. He has a pulled quad that should have kept him out of the game against Philadelphia, but he was marginally available. And when he got into the game, he marginally played because he got bum rushed. He got walked over. It was a disaster for Tom Brady. Brady got hit a lot in that game, got sacked, 3 times. And they were fortunate that they had achieved a lead before Tristan went out.
Correct.
I don't think he's going to be able to play a snap. Ryan Jensen, the Pro Bowl center, is also not right. He practiced limited. I think he will try to play. I don't think he will be great in this game. I don't think he will be himself. And all he has to deal with is the best defensive lineman in the National Football League, the guy you say is the best defensive player in the National Football League, the guy that some people make a case for is the greatest defensive player ever in the history of the National Football League, Aaron Donald. You mentioned Greg Gaines, and every time I look up, he's in the backfield because you have to double Aaron Donald, and here he comes. And every time I look up, there's that Gaines guy again, making gains. And every time I look up from the other side, there's Leonard Floyd. He is really hellacious good coming off the edge. Von Miller has reinvigorated, recreated himself in L.A. after a little bit of a slow start. He's starting to look like 2015 Super Bowl Von Miller to me. So we're talking about an avalanche of a rush coming down upon Tom Brady. And you know what's happened? Von's had his number. We saw what happened in that AFC Championship game at Denver, as you point out, in 2015. It's a nightmare for Brady because as quickly as he gets rid of the ball, these guys are on him so quickly, he can't even get to his first read, let alone his second or third. Now look at all the other injuries that have plagued this team, especially on Brady's side of the ball, Shannon. I thought he discovered Cyril Grayson as the, dare I say, the new AB. Obviously, AB melted down and pieced out. And obviously, Chris Godwin was lost in that nightmare of a game, 9-0 loss to New Orleans, lost for the season. I thought, okay, at least Cyril Grayson, a former track star from LSU, albeit undrafted, I thought, Shannon, okay, he walked it off, ran it off against the Jets that AB day, and I thought, oh, great, now he's got at least a quasi-weapon, some semblance of an AB. I don't think Cyril Grayson's going to be able to play because he pulled his hamstring. I thought Bashard Perriman, who they discovered in overtime against Buffalo, I thought, okay, maybe something. He's been limited in practice, and I think he'll be at best limited in this game. Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny, Lombardi Lenny, didn't practice this week. He tried to sort of work out with the trainers. I'm going to guess, Shannon, he can't go. Rojo's got a bad ankle. I'm going to guess he can't go. I love my little man from Vanderbilt, Keyshawn Vaughn, but he ain't those two. And Gio Bernard's back, but he ain't those two when it comes to hammering away with the football, trying to establish a run that against the Rams they have not been able to establish at all. Because obviously they lost to the Rams last year, lost to the Rams earlier this year on September 26th. And Shannon, here's the great total. In those two games, the Buccaneers, even with healthy Rojo and healthy Lenny Fournette, they rushed it in those two games 31 times for 77 total yards. That's 2.5 yards per carry. How do you think Keyshawn's going to be able to do? My little Keyshawn Vaughn. Dubiously doubtful. Will Gio be able to help their small third down type backs? No, I don't see it. So you can't take pressure off Brady running the football. So who's he going to throw to? Mike Evans is a possession receiver. Gronk is a possession receiver. Remember what the Rams did to Gronk on September 26th out here at SoFi Stadium? They cracked his ribs, sent him to the locker room. He came back in and actually tried to play, and then he was gone for the next 5 games. So he's got some lingering doubts about playing against this team that has high confidence against Brady and company. So just on the offensive side with Josh Wells and what's left of Ryan Jensen, I just don't love it. Shannon, I think Brady and company are going to have a really hard time moving the ball and scoring. Go ahead.
Well, I think the thing is, Skip, is that if you look at it, what they're going to probably do with Keyshawn Vaughn, what they're trying to do with Gio Bernard, Skip, you know, the screen game is an extension of their run game. Brady, the short passing game is their run game. They're not looking to be the Tennessee Titans. They're not looking to be the Cleveland Browns or one of these top 5 rush teams. Brady getting the ball out quickly on the bubble screen, on the jailbreak screens, on the flat routes to the running back, to the screens, to the running back. That's their running game. Yeah, they would like to have, 20 attempts, maybe get about 4 yards a carry. They can get that. Okay, they're fine with that. But Brady is how they're going to win this game, Skip. Be it 35, 40 completions, but the running backs will weigh heavily, even if it's not running the football. Catching the football and giving him extra protection. Because occasionally you're going to have to blitz him. You just can't sit back there. Maybe you can, because they can generate pressure with Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, A'Shawn Robinson, Greg Gaines, and Von Miller. You can get home, and maybe Raheem feels very comfortable. Raheem Morris, the DC, feels very comfortable saying, you know what, I'm never going to sacrifice my back end. We're doing such a great job with our front four, we're going to let them handle it without having to sacrifice the back end. But, Skip, I'm not overly concerned with their inability to run the football, because their running game is really the short passing game and the screen game.
Okay. So what's my one hope for Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.? The Rams have injury issues in their back end. They had to bring the great Eric Weddle out of retirement off the scrap heap to shore up their safety position. Tom Brady, albeit in a losing effort back on September 26th, did throw for 432 yards in that game that they lost 34-24. I think maybe he'll find some weak spots if he has just 2.5 seconds to throw, albeit to a Tyler Johnson, who's just a possession receiver who can't separate. He's a fifth-round draft pick, obviously not the quickest guy in the world. But it's going to be Gronk. It's going to be Cameron Brate. It's going to be O.J. Howard. It'll be a little bit of Mike Evans, though he's going to be doubled every time. Or maybe it'll just be Jay Ram on him, and that'll be tough. It'll be tough for him to separate from Jalen Ramsey, because he's the best in the business at what he does. And he's so physical, he can match the physicality of Mike Evans. So I don't think there's going to be any push-off physical separation. So I think it's going to be a long, hard day for Brady, but I give him a little bit of chance because of the injuries on the back end that did not manifest themselves against Kyler Murray, because the Rams took off. It looked like they were suddenly the hottest team in pro football. Odell looked like Hollywood Odell, the hottest thing in Hollywood, this time on this side of Michael B. Jordan. And they look like a Super Bowl team, albeit against Arizona. Okay, so Shannon, now I'm going to flip it around. And I'm going to tell you why I still am going to hang in there. And I'm still going to pick Brady to win this game. It's because of the guy I've said from the start will be your undoing. Your Achilles heel will be Matthew Stafford. He finally broke through, and he finally won his first playoff game against an Arizona team that was reeling, that lost 4 of its last 5, only one victory against my reeling Dallas Cowboys, so I don't even count that one now. My point is that I don't, and I don't trust Matthew Stafford against a Bucs defense that I thought quietly was brought to a boil by an even better coordinator than Raheem. That's Todd Bowles. Hope he gets a head coaching job. I'm his biggest fan. I think he's Belichickian. I think my Tampa Bay defense is pretty healthy. I think it suddenly found itself right on schedule, just the way it did 1 year ago. And I didn't give credit to the Bucs defense. It did help carry Brady to his 7th Super Bowl, and I believe it's going to help carry Brady through a game that he's going to have no business winning with his lack of weapons and lack of protection on offense. So I say Matthew Stafford is going to have to struggle for me to win this game, and I believe he will. I believe they will get pressure on him. Obviously, Shaq Barrett, JPP are back, and I think they're reasonably healthy. I still have Devin White. I have a reasonably healthy Levante David. The secondary is reasonably healthy now that Murphy Bunting seems to be back. He was practicing this week. So all of a sudden, I think I have enough firepower on defense to keep Odell to a low roar. I got nothing but respect for Cooper Kupp. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. He was simply the most productive receiver in pro football, and I dread and fear him this Sunday. But I think they can hold all of that down just enough that I'm going a much lower score. I'm going to say that Brady just on his all-time magic, that he will find a way to levitate his offense and figure a way to get them 24 points. I'm going to go 24 points for Brady's offense, and I say your offense gets held to 21. So I'll go 24-21. I have very little courage in my convictions. I don't have high confidence. Scale of 1 to 10, I'd say my confidence in my pick is a 2 right now. So you have me on the run, I am the first to admit, because on paper, this screams, it smacks of Rams ramming Tom Brady.
Well, Skip, the thing that we didn't mention is Cam Akers, who came back from a torn Achilles in July and played extremely well in a playoff game on Monday night. Sony Michel,
he did.
who we've seen play really well in big playoff games. So, Skip, I don't know if you're going to go out there and run for 140, 150 yards, kind of like you did the other night. But I think you need to run the ball well enough so JPP, Vita Vea, and that front four can't just tee off on you. And Skip, another thing, I think the advantage that you guys have is that you're inside pass rushers. I think Sue, I think Vita Vea, I think they have an advantage over the guards. I think that is the weak link of the Rams offensive line. Because I think there's tackles. I think Haverstein and I think the old elderly guy, I forget his name, the left tackle, Whitworth. I think they'll hold up against Shaq Barrett and JPP on the outside. The small concern that I have is on the inside, because I've seen Corbett at times get manhandled. And you're dealing with two guys inside that can manhandle your guards if you're not careful. We've seen Vita Vea handle some of the best guards. All pro guards, we've seen him take them and dump them in the quarterback's lap. So you're going to have your hands full trying to deal with those guys. The return game, Skip, the Rams special teams, I believe, is a lot better than Tampa. They got a nice punt returner. They got a nice kick returner. Keep that in mind, because, Skip, in playoff games, it comes down to a big punt return, a big kick return, a turnover here, a turnover there can completely flip a ball game. So I think the Rams, if you look at from a special teams wise, I believe they're better than your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, everything else is a push. Offensively, defensively, you get push. It might come down to a special teams, a kicking ball game. So that's why I went a slight edge with the Rams. You and I both believe it'll be close. I say it's a little more high scoring. You believe it's a little bit more low scoring. But we both have a 3-point win one way or another.
We do. And by the way, to your point about Rams running the football, I will go on record as saying they will not. They will not break 100 against that front. That's the one thing, that front, when it's time, when it decides you will not run the ball on us, I believe they will not run the ball. I believe the game will be pushed back into the hands of one Matthew Stafford, who was 0-3 in the playoffs until he got to beat Arizona. I believe that Matt Stafford will throw 2 picks. I believe Brady will throw no picks. I don't think Brady will throw for even 300 yards, because the featured player, now all the spotlight for this game goes upon, if you can believe I'm saying this, on Josh Wells. He will be the starting right tackle for Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Josh Wells, undrafted out of James Madison from Mechanicsville, Virginia, bounced around the league. He was with the Jaguars for a while. He's been with Tampa for the last 3 years. He's 31 years of age, and he is not a starting right tackle. He is nothing but a backup, and he's been used more backing up the guards in Tampa than the tackles, because he has not had to back up the tackles because they have stayed healthy until now. So I fear that the injury gods just dictated, let there be Rams. Because when you take away the right tackle from Brady, this is going to be big trouble against Von Miller. I think Von Miller is going to feast in this game. I think it will be a big Von Miller game, and it will take all of Brady's goatness to pull it off. But I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to give up. I don't love it, but I'm hanging in, and I will bet you 2 cases of Diet Mountain Dew that Brady somehow prevails. Only 2. But that's a lot, given what I just laid out for you.
That ain't no lot, no, 5. We got a 5.
2.
You at the 5, Skip. When you go to Vegas, there's a minimum. You could be at the $25 table.
No.
You could be at the 50 minimum table. You could be at 100. This is a 5K minimum bet right here. Right here, right now. And I'm concerned about
You
Gronk.
got me on the run.
I do. That's my whole purpose. I'm trying to keep you on the run also.
Yeah.
But Skip,
You're the
know
all-time
in games
front
like this,
yeah.
you know games like this, Skip, these are the type of games that Gronk, he be meddling around. He'll have 2 catches, and then he'll come to the playoff times, and Brady will force feed him, and he'll end up having 7 catches for $125 and a touchdown or 2. So the question is how they're going to match up. I would not be surprised on some occasion you don't see Jalen Ramsey matched up against Gronk. I would not be surprised to see that at all.
Okay, last point.
Okay.
I will go to 4 cases only because of what Coach McYay did early in the third quarter of that game out here on September 26th at SoFi. Coach McYay, as you recall, on a 75-yard touchdown pass to Deshaun Jackson, no longer a Ram, broke the game open 21-7. Yeah. Coach McYay ran all the way up the sidelines like a hairy high school coach, ran all the way up the tunnel to congratulate a receiver that he soon ran off. A receiver no longer with the Rams. And I believe that will stick in Brady's craw. I believe it sticks in the Bucs' craw. And I think just as they got even with Tyreek last year for backflipping on them, they got even with him in the Super Bowl. I believe they will get even just for Harry High School Coach McYay. That's what I believe. So you know what? I just did it. 5 cases. I got 5 on the goat. Thank you.
Way to go, Shannon. You got him up.
You want 5 cases?
You got
you know what, Skip? I want another case that say Matthew Stafford outplays Tom Brady. Matthew Stafford numbers will be better. His QBR,
5 is 5. I just hit the. I just hit the Las Vegas minimum of 5. That's all I want, all I need, and I can't wait to see you on Monday morning. That's what I can't wait for.
This is going to be a great one. And according to Fox Bet, the over-under is set at 48 combined points for this game. So it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a close one. I'm with both of you.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.